gentlemen,
Yes or no?
the return, guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time.
Stephen, we're not going anywhere. On the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
My question is, how do you know that he's a member of MS-13? The White House has repeatedly said, according to intelligence.
By the way, according to our government and his government. In other words, his government has confirmed based on their own intelligence that he's a member of MS-13. First of all, do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
What's that?
Do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
No.
Okay. And do you dispute that as an illegal alien, we have the right to deport him?
Going through
he went through the legal process. So I want to be very. What I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that?
Stephen, can I ask, as a matter of policy, does the administration believe that immigration judges, because they're under DOJ, that their orders can be overruled by what the administration wants? Is that a general matter of policy?
Well, actually, so specifically, the Attorney General has authority to overrule the immigration courts, and that's actually by statute. Yes. Other questions?
Stephen, on the gold card, the President and Secretary Lutnick have suggested they're lining up applicants already. How many people do you expect to be tagged to this program when the President announces it this week, if he actually announces it this week?
I'll let Secretary Lutnick provide that update, but I appreciate that.
The White House administration is going to deport 1 million undocumented people.
Much more than that. Much more.
Stephen, also of the 10 alleged gang members that Secretary Rubio said were sent to El Salvador over the weekend, what sort of due process did they get as mandated by the Supreme Court?
Well, you're talking about the alien enemies?
Yes, the alien.
So first of all, a number of those are MS-13. So again, those are just standard removals of El Salvadorians to El Salvador. And without,
what evidence did you provide that they were MS-13?
Okay, so we seem to be confused about this. Illegal aliens from El Salvador, again, get deported to El Salvador. Do you all appreciate that like tens of thousands of El Salvadorians have been deported to El Salvador? You seem to be under the impression that El Salvadorians living in our country illegally just get to stay here. They don't. They get arrested and deported. Then the fact that they're MS-13 just puts an extra priority on our deporting them. But we would deport someone to El Salvador regardless of whether or not they were MS-13 if they were here illegally. That's just an extra, because of the priority on public safety threats, we're emphasizing the removals of gang members, in this case, foreign terrorist organization gang members. But as to your other question, they went through all of the due process, as you would call it, that is required by law. So what I find so mystifying is that I've been talking to you all for a very long time. I legitimately, going back years actually, in my entire professional life, I've never received this many questions from the media about an American who was raped or murdered by an illegal alien. Like, legitimately never. And all of you who are enjoying your lives and doing quite well, if you had children and you were living near any of these people, you would move away immediately. You would call the police immediately. You would call us and ask us to make you and your family safer immediately. And you thank your lucky stars every night that you have enough means and enough money not to live in communities where, say, illegal alien pedophiles offend and reoffend and keep reoffending and keep reoffending. The expression there, but for the grace of God go I. The Biden administration apprehended 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela. They were trained to Aragua. A lot more than 2, but the story I'm telling you is 2. And they decided they were entitled to an enormous amount of due process. And they didn't feel they had enough evidence to just deport them right away. So they put them on a monitoring system known as supervised release. You're familiar with this case. But a few weeks later, they kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Nungary, who was 12 years old at the time. I'm sure you've seen pictures of her. I mean, just the most perfect girl you could possibly imagine. And her mother loved her very much. She was tied up, savagely beaten, stripped naked, tortured to death, murdered. Her body was dumped into a lake. So she didn't get any due process, but I'll tell you who did are the two illegal aliens from Venezuela who stole her forever. And there's stories like that all over the country. We just arrested a pedophile illegal alien who is being shielded by Sanctuary City, who's been charged in 20 sex crimes against children. None of you, any of you have had the chance to spend time with victims' families, whose children have been raped or whose wives have been raped and murdered. But if that doesn't break your heart, nothing will. And I know that we have some people, like Taylor Lawrence, who fantasize about assassinations and things like that. But in the civilized society, the power of the state is used to keep innocent people alive and to keep innocent women and children from being hurt. This administration is never going to apologize for using the power of the state to keep men, women, and children from being savagely murdered and beaten. If we release known and suspected MS-13 and trained Aragua, and then there's another Jocelyn Nungary, then whose responsibility is that going to be? Do you think that we're going to sit around wringing our hands, wondering if, maybe we should, release this person, give them a little bit of extra time, give them a little bit extra chance to plead their case, and then what? They kidnap somebody, they slit their throat, they shoot them in the head, and we say, well, at least the illegal alien got due process. They're here illegally. The only place that they deserve to go is to some country other than our country. And it's not a statistic. These are real lives. These are real families. There's whole neighborhoods in Los Angeles controlled by illegal alien Mexican street gangs. Entire neighborhoods where you have to live in fear because of individuals here illegally engaged in extortion and crime. Not to mention the fentanyl. You have cartels that have functional control over the entire northern territory in Mexico who are pumping fentanyl, lacing our drugs with this chemical. Children are ending up dead. They're going out to a weekend party. They think they're taking something safe, and they get a heart attack and they die by the thousands. So we're not going to apologize for doing something about that. And I just wish we lived in a country where the media gave 1/10 a damn as much about Americans who were murdered and brutalized and savagely killed, beaten to death, as they did about whether illegal aliens that we all agree are illegal aliens should get 1 million days in court and 1 million trials and 1 million this and 1 million that. There's 15 million illegal aliens that violently enter the country. If every one of them got the trial that you're asking for, it would take us centuries to remove them. Centuries. We'd be talking about this in 300-400 years. Their great-great-great-grandchildren would be the ones representing them in court. That's how long it would take. Illegal aliens who come to our country have to be removed, and they have to be removed quickly, and that is an essential component of having something that we like to call a country.
Stephen, on the
One
matter,
last question.
on the
Thank you.
matter of visa restrictions, the president on his first day, the president on his first day in office signed an executive order calling on his administration, the Department of Homeland Security, State Department, DNI, to come up with a list of countries that did meet the United States' vetting standards and to potentially put full or partial visa restrictions on those countries. I just want to know what is the status of that report that was due to the administration last month? Do you have a list yet of countries?
So the State Department has done the work that you're describing. It's currently going through the standard review process. I don't have any update beyond that, but I mean you're correct in your statement that this was a product that was called for at the beginning of the administration, and it's being worked on, and hope to have a further update for you soon. Last question.
If I may, President Trump continues to say that one of the best arguments for sending undocumented criminals to El Salvador is cost. When it comes to this White House considering sending U.S. citizens to El Salvador because of being criminals, is that the same argument, cost?
So the El Salvadorian deportation program is for illegal aliens, but I would also say that on the cost point, what we're referring to is the fact that long-term incarceration in the United States, probably costs like 100x what it costs to send somebody to El Salvador. So that's in other words, if an illegal alien commits a crime in this country and then has to go into our judicial and penal system, I don't know the exact numbers, and I'm assuming it's probably like 100x cost. But I'll just close by saying the amount of lives that we've saved since we showed up by shutting down the border, since President Trump issued his executive orders and began deporting criminals, is already in the thousands. And by the way, we've been out looking for the 500,000 children that Biden trafficked into this country. The stories we've already uncovered of sex trafficking and labor trafficking and child abuse is beyond imagination. 500,000 minors were smuggled into this country under the last administration, and the administration not only didn't do anything to prevent it, in every way they funded it, subsidized it, facilitated it, supported it, contributed to it, that if any American citizen did these things, they'd be in jail for life. Thank you.